Hi, it's Will from StormTheCastle.com, and here on YouTube you know me as Epic Fantasy, and this is my latest tutorial. This is, well, if you remember last week, I did a tutorial on how to make a big sheet of paper, big piece of paper, how to make your own. We're using paper pulp. And this week, we take that piece of paper and we make a fantasy map out of it. Fun project. There it is. And this particular map here is a copy of a fantasy globe that I am working on, and I'll show you a little bit of that, but that's an upcoming project. So let's launch into it. First, let me say thank you for watching my videos. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing. If you're not, what do? Hit that button. Dioramas, origami, catapults, and treasure shades, telescopes, terrariums, bonsai trees, and paper games, swords and shields, and real blacksmithing, rattle boxes, animation. I teach the art of real creation. StormTheCastle.com. Let's make something. Okay, last week in the other video tutorial, I showed you how to recycle paper to make our big sheet of paper. And you can click on the bubble there if you want to watch that video. But now we've got our big sheet of paper, and an important thing I want to show you is I did a little bit of test with paints and pencils on some pieces of that paper, so I could make sure how the paint took well and how it looked, and I could so I experimented a little bit with it. But there's our big sheet. There's our big sheet right there. And that's what we're going to make our fantasy map on. And there's the globe. That's what I'm doing the map of. So the first thing I did was I drew out a grid. So I knew the parameters of my map. And then I grid off the globe with string so I could try to transfer that reasonably well. See, and then I did a bunch of drawings so I could get a sense for what everything looked like and how it was going to be placed and how to distort it, because you're taking a globe and you're flattening it out. It's going to be distorted. But how would it still look good? And there's my grid. You can't see it very well in this, but I lightly had drawn a grid, and that will help me to transfer from the globe to the paper that grid. Like I said, you can't see it very well, but it's there in light pencil. So let's get to drawing. The very first thing is I drew out all the various outlines of the various continents and the islands and things like that, all the big landmarks and land masses. I drew those out in pencil and lightly so I could erase it and then draw it again until I got it looking pretty good. And then once I got it the way I wanted it and it looked pretty good, I darkened in those lines with pencil, and now we're going to move on to the large masses of color. And right now we just want to fill in the map with large amounts of pretty plain color. So I started with the blue, the oceans and the lakes, and then I moved on to the large green masses. So like that. And right now we don't want to really get the terrain too much. We want to focus more on filling in the bigger land masses, like the desert. And there's actually a couple of them on this map, one on the left and one on the right. And I continue on doing the terrain. So here's, I'll put some more green in there, and there's like a transition. It didn't go. It's not a sharp, demarcation line between the desert and the forest. So there's like a blurriness between the two. And I actually learned a lot thinking about this and how terrain is and stuff like that. And the big thing is that if you want to make it look realistic, is along water the foliage gets very rich and green. So I did a lot of deeper green near the water if there wasn't beaches, and that gives it a really nice look, because water encourages the rainforest-like growth, very deep and rich, and it's just a nice little thing. You start looking at maps and globes, and you see things like that. It was kind of wonderful. I learned a few things making this project, and you will too. And then there's the glaciers on both top and bottom at the north and the south poles, and the glaciers have a little bit of melt around them. See, and that's what I'm doing right there, is some of the water melt. That once again makes the demarcation between the glacier and the foliage. So there's like an icy lake, you might want to call it. And that's how it is on the globe. So all throughout this process, I was always looking at the globe to try to see what it looked like. So now let me show you a tip. To make a variable foliage, I actually use two different types of green, and I didn't mix them. I kind of kept them side by side and then get both of them on the brush, and it gives you that wonderful look. So let's, once we've got all the colors pretty much filled in like that, now we can move on to some details. And you can have as much fun as you want with all these details. For instance, I'm making these wonderful mountains, and this right now is a mountain range. And I'm really happy with this. It looks kind of neat. And of course, mountains have snow caps, right? Depending on how tall they are, I guess you could say. But let's put some snow caps on the tops of those mountains. And then let's paint the sides of the mountains a different color. You know, from here it's all detail work. I emphasized the shorelines. I did touch up with the paint, with the oceans and the blue, and I just had a lot of fun. And let's put a compass on the map. Every map has to have a compass so you know which way is north, and this is how I did it. I just drew a circle and then made it bold with marker. There's north. It looks good, I like it. And then that's pretty much it. Now you can go ahead and do all the detail you want, as much as you want. And that lake there in the middle, ocean really, is kind of dark, so I lightened it up with a little bit of blue paint. So do your shorelines, add anything you want to add to it. You want to add more mountains, you want to add small cities somewhere, stuff like that. And that's it. Our fantasy map is done. I did not put a name on this yet, or any cities or anything like that. But if you can do that on your map. Thanks for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're a subscriber, thanks for subscribing to my channel. If you're not a subscriber, hit that button. I always have lots of fun and interesting and very creative projects. I do 2 new ones every week. As an example, here's a couple more videos you might want to watch.